Shalom Aleichem Rabbi Sai. This is Rabbi Yehuda Levin, and this is the Lech Lecha Tafshin Ayin Beis edition of the truncated version, 13 powerful minutes of the Fear Kashas, heard each and every Wednesday evening, beginning at 7:45. You can also access this program and many other archived and videoed programs if you have a heter for the internet on the Fear, F-E-A-R, Kashes, Kashes.com. Please spread the word to your friends and join this Torah revolution where we give you the unvarnished hashkafa of Gedolei Yisrael of yesteryear with no spin and no political correctness. Yes, the holiday of Sukkot is over. It's already Cheshvan, and it's back to business as usual. The media in Israel reported and showed pictures of various dignitaries surrounding Mayor Bloomberg, who donated Elizeicha Nishmas, his parents, some sort of an emergency room or some kind of a hospital situation. And in addition to giving him Kavod Malachim, they actually had him, this Oisvarf, putting up the mezuzah. So in other words, and I think that the chief rabbi of Israel was there praising him. I think Rabbi Metzger was there, but if not, others were. Do you understand the problem? Nobody can say that Bloomberg doesn't get credit for pouring in maybe millions of dollars for an emergency room or for a hospital in Israel, etc. But to give him the kind of cover that they gave him after he performed one of the first same-gender marriages in New York, and that situation where the two Mishkvei Zohar both stepped on glasses, and Bloomberg performed this, and it was all over the media and the internet, etc. To have him put up a mezuzah, we need a mezuzah to protect our houses from the influence of Bloomberg, not to have Bloomberg putting up mezuzahs. And what does this send a signal to Bloomberg, etc.? That it's business as usual after this man champions same-gender marriage. It's a big shame. It's a big embarrassment. My dear friends, years ago, Rudy Giuliani taught a society something very important. Mr. Giuliani, when he was the mayor, said that the big crimes come when you turn the other cheek and turn the other way to the small quality of life crimes, like graffiti artists or squeegee men harassing people into giving them donations when they would come and wash their cars, and intimidate the people into giving donations. So Giuliani came down hard on that, and there was a great drop of all levels of crime in New York City. I say this as an introduction because, recently the Israeli Haredi papers, and I'm sure in America as well, had a kol korah from Gedolim that in light of the terrible situations that have been happening in Klal Yisrael, probably they were referring to the Leiby Koletsky murder and the Baba Baruch murder. Because of that, it's imperative that each and every person, man, woman, and children, learn Musar every day. Now, this is very, very admirable, but it's like there's the big monster in the room, and that monster is ignored, and we take the easy way out by speaking about somebody that everybody could agree on, that was a terrible thing, the Koletsky murder and the murder of Baba Baruch. What is my point? My point is as follows. B'makom sheyesh chil Hashem, Ein Cholken Kavod L'Rav, and also Leisagurim Mifnei Ish. And I'm shocked and surprised that no gadol of stature has spoken out about this event. In Eretz Yisrael, Shabbos Bereshis, in the famous Shtiblach in Mei Yesharim, inside the Shuk of Mei Yesharim, some 20 Ger Hasidim, brigands, came in with sticks or with some sort of weaponry, and they started to beat the living daylights out of people indiscriminately. There were pictures of this, people bloodied, etc. I heard reports that they had stun guns and that they had telephones. I can't even believe that. I can't believe they would do that rampant Chil Shabbos. But the point is, this was a horrific, barbaric thing which made its way into a lot of secular media. It's a huge chil Hashem, and therefore I would like to ask the following question. We know that the Ger Hasidim have been the nirdofim, they have been the bullied, and they have been victimized for the last 20 years in any number of political issues. They are the victims. We all know that. And we have tremendous sympathy for Ger, for being the victims in all the various altercations and political difficulties or differences that they've had with people or groups in the last 20 or so years. But the question is, it's Toirahi v'lil Moraini Tzarech. We have to know, why wasn't what happened there, Aleph, a tremendous Chilul Hashem of Rosh Hashanah Saki Esreacha? Why, even if they're the Nirdofim and they have to do it, they're 100% correct, and because somebody put cement in the Rebbe's son-in-law's lach, or because they're having a fight about coal Poland and coal in Poland, or whatever it is, a real estate, they're allowed to do what they do. But how come there wasn't the Kuntrus Hasbara to explain why they were allowed to do this on Shabbos, beat up people indiscriminately, and the poor stupid Chilonim, and even many of the religious Jews who don't know the real truth that the Gera are the Nidufim and they're entitled to do this, since there was no Hasbara or Hezbollah explanation, why isn't this a Chilul Hashem? And by the way, I once in a while I learn some Sfas Emes, even some Chedush Yorim, and I want to know would the Sfas Emes or Chedush Yorim have sanctioned this kind of despicable, burahalish, hooliganidika misbehavior? So the point is that we desperately need, sometimes Klal Yisrael is protesting against the state of Israel or others within the state for Chilul Shabbos. So then you'll come out with a Kol Koira. It's very safe to do that. Attack the Chilonim, attack Eged, attack this one, attack that one. But when it's happening right in your own backyard, yes, there was a protest in Kikar Shabbos, and yes, they had signs up with names, but none of them were the names of Gedolei Yisrael, of leaders. So, in other words, when things get tough, where's the Leisaguru B'fnei Ish? It's interesting because, I felt very bad over the years when you didn't see certain Gedolei Yisrael and others come out against the Hashchasa agenda. But frankly, they're not coming out against this either. Nobody wants to start up. It's like the emperor has no clothes. Nobody wants to say anything. It's like it didn't happen, Everybody's afraid. Shash still. I would like to know what the rationale, why is this allowed, even though they're near Dufim and they're 100% right in whoever they're fighting with, and the others are evil people. Why are you allowed to do such a thing during the week, when they went afterwards and beat up the guy and bloodied him? Why are they allowed to do Rosh Hashanah Asaka Esreacha? Why are they allowed to do this on Shabbos? I want to know. Now maybe they're going to come and beat me up. So I want to give them my door that if I get beaten up in the next few weeks, you'll know it. And there's something sick about a situation in Klal Yisrael where everybody has to be afraid. Ooh, if you're going to say something, they're going to beat you up. What kind of a garbage is this? You remember when Rav Shach, I was there at the Knesset Gedolah. I didn't hear this, but I was there at that event when, to show the peace between the Hasidim, basically Ger, and the Litvisher, Rav Shach came into the Knesset Gedolah arm in arm with the Leif Simcha. And there started a pushing, mamish, shoving and pushing by the Hasidim. Rav Shach muttered, Chayes, Chayes. I mean, is this a religious thing, this pushing and the shoving and everything else? And especially in mixed company, it's one thing if you want to do it in your own thing, but in mixed company. So Shach happened to feel that it was Chayes. So the Ger Rebbe famously said Chayes HaKodesh. The Ger Rebbe, Reb Leif Simcha, Adam Gadol, he might have said a cuter, sharper comment. But Rav Shach was ultimately right. 40 years ago, they called it Kikar Shabbos because a Gera guy, I think, got killed, and the Gera sent out people to protest. They were very, very stark. Little did they realize when the Beis Yisrael sent out people, he would basically be sending out people a stone's throw away from Meisham Shtiblich, where his own Hasidim would be going and doing this, and we don't hear a sound from the leadership, not from Ger, and not from anybody else. I'm sorry. It's painful. This is not an indictment of every single Gera. Though if I was a Gera, I would be embarrassed about such a thing. I would want to disassociate myself. I would want people to understand why, not just because you have numbers or you're big or you're grub and you can beat people up and intimidate. That's what the mafia does. That's not Yiddishkeit. You know, why does Ger almost never participate in any Hafganas for religious issues, al-Hadas, for the last 20 or 30 years? But for this, which is clearly not Me'ikre Hadas, it's about money, it's about real estate, it's about covered. For this they come and they make Hafganas in the middle of Shabbos and they mechal Shabbos. Maybe it's because they got mixed up. They changed their system of learning and they got mixed up. And they don't know that Elu Hein Haloikin is in Masechta Makis. It's not in Masechta Shabbos. And you shouldn't even do it in Masechta Chayil. Why Dafka on Shabbos? If this is such a big Kiddush Hashem, why not do it during the regular weekdays? If this is a Torah imperative. Rabbi say, whoever thinks that what they did on Shabbos had anything to do with anything of religious nature is a nar or worse. Since this is being done without any hezbollah from rabbinic leadership, maybe others in the domino game will now follow, smaller groups will now follow the lead of Ger, and they'll also think they could be Machal Shabbos and use fisticuffs and mafioso tactics. This is why it's so important that there's a hezbollah for this, and that Gedolei Yisrael speak out. Now, I've received death threats from Ger in the past, some Ger of people in the past. I should call them Ger Chayas. Okay, I refuse to be intimidated. I'm not declaring war on Ger, but when something like this happens, I don't care if the whole world is quiet. I'll be happy to be noitel schar, kenegdom, am moicha. There was 500,000 comments, references to me on the internet having to do with earthquakes and about my fights against Mishkav Zocha, and not one Mishkav Zocha or liberal ever touched me. So if I get beaten up or chas v'shalom killed, those of you who want to show your appreciation can donate to your favorite Gerrit charity. I refuse to be a victim. I refuse to live in fear from this kind of chayavata stuff. This is outrageous. This kind of exclusivity, whether it's an exclusivity saying the Rebbe is Mashiach, or whether the only way to Mashiach is through Rav Nachman, or Ger Uber Alles, is a problem in Yiddishkeit. It is certainly never what the original masters who set up this system had in mind. I have derech eretz for the long distinguished heritage of Ger. I'm sure there are many Geras who are disgusted by this, but we can't be blind or stum. This is Rabbi Yehuda Levin. Until next week, a guten Tamid.